So both of you have worked in art, a lot of art films, and so was that a conscious effort? Like, what's the chain of thought that kind of helped you decide that these are the projects that you want to do, and this is the work that the role that you do want to play?
I was in Bombay for college. At the end of college, I had a classmate who was interning at Times of India. She was in the Miss India wing and she wanted to fill numbers. By then, that Kira had come wherein I had suddenly grown tall. I suddenly so it's like puberty hit me like a train. So I wanted that, the idea that okay, someone might give you a little attention. It was sweet to me. It didn't come from a place of thinking that I would have a career out of it. Because I come from a very, very academic kind of family. So in a family of PhDs, I'm a black sheep because I'm a master's. So so after my board exams in college, I took part in Miss India and I won. Now because I won, I was like, मुझे और करना है. I want to I wanted more of it, and I always was curious about fashion because it was like fancy. You see these magazines and it looks so cool. Also, I was young at the time, and not just in terms of age, but in terms of exposure also. So I did some modeling and I did a bunch of ads after that, just like television ads. I didn't get many because I don't know, I think I didn't really fit into the cookie cutter stereotype, because I just felt like during those auditions people had a certain idea of what pretty was, what cute was, to act like giggly and childlike in auditions, and I just didn't get it. I felt so disconnected and I felt so like I was trying to belong, but I just didn't know. And I felt like, what am I doing with my life? I should just go back to studying. And then I got my first film audition and I was so thrilled at the prospect of just a director is going to see my audition. That was like a big deal for me. I gave the test, and halfway through that audition I knew this is what I want to pursue, because until then it was like a rolling stone. I was just dabbling in a bunch of things because I was stimulated or I was curious, but I didn't really connect with them at a deeper level. I didn't really feel like I belonged with them until I did my first film audition. And within an hour of the test, I actually got the part. Then I found out it was with Anurag Kashyap, my first film. So in 2 days, we started shoot. In 6 months, we were at Cannes Film Festival, where I was nominated. That was that first point for me where I realized that I was constantly looking at it like everyone is amazing, everyone is so cool, I'm not good enough. I sort of had that kind of a thing. But I think being nominated there made me feel like you could just be good at your job, and that is enough of an identity. You don't need to try so hard to be liked or to belong. It just gave me so much strength. And also Anurag Kashyap had a huge influence. Like, he has such a strong sense of self as an individual and as a storyteller, and he's just so easy with being honest that it makes me feel like I look up to him. So maybe I can be like that too. I can be myself and not mold myself to how one expects me to be. So from there I started to make choices that resonated with me. Like if I and everything I auditioned for so far, it's not like there was a platter of offers outside my door. I chose to do projects which resonated with me, and I just felt like there are so many pretty beautiful girls in this city, so many that come from all over the country. I can't just sit back and be like, hey, I'm just, I'm so nice, I'm so pretty, I'm so la la la, I'm going to get... I didn't grow up with that mindset. I was like a very school captain nerdy kid. So for me, it became about talent. If someone is able to see skill, then I will get hired. That's what it became, like the whole thing about. I didn't trust that someone could look nice and still sustain a career.
What's the city been like for you? Like, what was it like transitioning from there to here?
So I was born in Tenali. It's almost like a hamlet. It's a small town. Tenali Raman. That's the only way people know about it. It's like a town. That's my mother's side. I grew up in Vizag, and when I was growing up there, it was a very quaint, quiet coastal town. Now there's a lot more hustle bustle after the Telangana partition. There's a lot of traffic, everything. I remember after my 12th grade just wanting to go to a big city, because I just wanted, it was like so cool in my head. I wanted to feel the rush of like being in such a competitive environment, like trains, buses and people and briefcases, and I had these visuals of what I thought was a big city. And my father's a sailor, he's retired now. He was in the Merchant Navy. I had written to him, I wrote him a letter which he received at a port saying I want his approval to let me go. And when he finally came back home some 2 months later, we didn't have communication when he was away. He came back with admission forms and Mumbai city guide.
How sweet.
Yeah, so, and I didn't speak Hindi until 3 years ago. So for me, it was a culture shock, and I had never seen. I mean, not like I was some completely. I had zero exposure. I did travel abroad with my parents when I was a child, but to call a place home, I was on my own. I have a younger sister. Then she was in her 9th standard. So there was such a pressure that it was because of me that we have moved to this city. So I had to sort of, I don't know, I felt my parents didn't give me advice. They gave me measured freedom. So that made me accountable. So I think for me, coming to Bombay was a bit of a culture shock. I was trying to blend in, and I was this nerdy, sort of like uncool kid who just really wanted to be liked at that point. There wasn't much to it. I just wanted to belong. Yeah, that's how it started, my experience at Bombay. I would buy we would get coupons in railway, local trains. So I would just buy a pack and travel across random places and spend my days just, I don't know, loitering around the cities, taking it all in. I had such a sense of wonder looking at it, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Do you think equality when it comes to payment is going to be something that we'll see happening in the film fraternity anytime?
I really think people should be rewarded for what they bring to the table. That's what it should be about. I just feel like end of the day, you are first a human being. You put in a certain amount of work, skill, emotional work, labor, whatever it is, and you should be rewarded and respected for it. And sometimes I see that an actor slogging it out and doing a brilliant job, they're getting paid peanuts, as opposed to someone who has a 5-minute role, like an appearance. It's just not fair. Our idea of how we brand people should change.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.